have mentioned in previous videos, the current state of affairs in our country is pretty precarious, to say the least. It seems that each day brings forth some new angle on the old story of divide and conquer. My personal opinion is that back in 2001, when the towers went down and they brought in the Patriot Act that stripped us of many of our divine rights and liberties, these actions were merely an initial phase of the overall agenda against personal liberties. It seems they always claim that plans and policies they want to put into place are voluntary, until they are not voluntary at all. I mean, just take a look at the whole face mask thing as an example of this sort of manipulation of the masses. I'm sure that if one was able to have a first-hand look at the demise of the Roman Empire, there were no doubt instances where the powers that be told everyone that this new plan or policy was just voluntary, until it wasn't. And what happened to that empire? The power of the mainstream media to put forth mass deceptive information for the purposes of mass control of a given situation or policy cannot be underestimated. Following the guidelines of people who have an ulterior motive to their perceived game plan should be looked at with a very skeptical eye. If one was to take a close look at the career of this Anthony Fauci guy, you would certainly see a pattern of deception from day one. Same thing goes for the techno-geek Mr. Moneybags that finances much of the companies and research facilities that he has been a part of for his entire career. Look at it from the perspective of, say, a prosecutor in a courtroom. If they have an individual going to court for any given offense, and that person has a history of similar offenses, that person has priors, and the sentence they may receive will be harsher than someone else who does not have that same type of history. Well, these people have priors, and as such, what they say or propose should be scrutinized with great skepticism. These trials they are putting forth in Africa for vaccines are another example of how they claim that it's only voluntary until it isn't voluntary at all. I mean, who in their right mind would want to have something pumped into their body that they have no real way of knowing what the hell is inside that syringe? Oh, they'll certainly tell you that it is harmless and it is quite beneficial to your health. Just like they did back in the 40s and 50s when they said DDT was good for you. Yet, no long-term testing has been done on any of these concoctions that they want to pump into you. And then later, if they are found to be harmful, the people that made it cannot be held accountable because the government has passed legislation that prohibits them from being prosecuted for any harm they may cause to other human beings. What sort of logic is that? And now we're heading into the big dog and pony show of the 2020 elections here in America, and we're left with few, if any, choices to put into power someone who will have the best interests of the average citizen in mind. It doesn't matter which party you may be aligned with or who ultimately wins, because that person is being controlled by outside influences and putting forth policies that enhance those who are pulling the strings, which always ends up being less fortunate to all of us average citizens. Our liberties and freedoms are being stripped away one dirty trick at a time. The old film star W.C. Fields once said, "Never give a sucker an even break." I think that may well be the way politicians, and in turn their various Oz guys behind the curtain, look at all of us citizens. We're just suckers that don't deserve an even break. And they work very hard at making sure we don't get one either. Just look at what's going on. Do you feel like you're getting an even break? Why should they pass another stimulus package when they can just go on vacation instead? Go on vacation on your dime, by the way. Sure doesn't look like an even break to me. They're not losing pay. They're not scrambling to try to make the house payment or put food on the table. No, they're going on vacation. And if you look at it from a certain perspective, they all have priors in that regard. So, my advice is to stay vigilant and stay informed, because information and knowledge is quite powerful, and they want to dumb us all down instead of having a populace of critical thinking citizens. It's easier for them to create bogus scenarios if you don't know what's really going on.